Good afternoon. This is the Board of Appeals, Town of Hempstead, June 25th, 2 o'clock meeting. Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening remarks? Oh, Madam Chair, do you have any opening remarks?
Say it again, Patrick.
So, Madam Chair, do you have any opening remarks?
I don't think so. It looks like most of the people here have been here before. If you haven't, we apply loosely the rules of evidence, but we leave it to our discretion as to what we accept. So those of you who wish to provide us with any materials, we'll go through that process on an ad hoc basis. Other than that, make sure you've signed in the case you're here on, and as the cases are called, come forward. If you're a person who's not the applicant but otherwise interested, when the case is called, maybe sit up here on the bench to the right, because we'll have you speak from the podium after you're sworn in. Go ahead, Patrick.
First, we have case 35025 through 35125, Wantaw, 7 Kids Property East LLC and Legends 1881 LLC, doing business as Craft Kitchen. Special exception to use premises for public assembly and amusement, outdoor bar. Special exception to use part of premises of neighboring store for outdoor dining to existing restaurant. Variance in off-street parking and parking in the front yard setback on Wanted Avenue with insufficient maneuvering aisle. Install masonry wall, gate, and fence varying in height from 6'6" to 8 feet. Install masonry wall, gate, and fence varying in height from 6'6" to 8 feet, also known as 1881 through 1885 Wantaw Avenue. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please take a seat and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Mrs. D'Amato, members of the board. William Benesso for Chelly Deacon Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, here on behalf of the applicant 7 Kids Property East LLC and Legends 1881 LLC DBA Craft Kitchen. Seated behind me and to my left is Mr. Anthony Gerasi. He is the principal and owner of the premises, principal of the LLCs and the owner of the premises, and he operates Craft Kitchen. Seated to my right is Mr. Wayne Muller of R&M Engineering. Mr. Muller is a transportation engineer who has been recognized on multiple occasions by this board as a traffic expert and been given permission to provide opinion testimony in the areas of traffic and parking, and we ask that he be permitted to do so again today. The application before the board involves a portion of a small shopping center on Wantaw Avenue. The storefronts associated are 1881 and 1885 Wantaw Avenue. The larger storefront is the Craft Kitchen. That is an existing restaurant and bar on the premises. Adjacent to that, to the south, is the adjacent to that, to the north rather, is a building that is leased to 2 tenants. My client owns both portions, and in his lease to those tenants, made it clear that at some point in the future he would be using the open space behind that tenant space for a proposed outdoor dining area. And that's what's before the board today, along with associated variances that are seeking that, that are needed for that rather. I have just some photographs that I'd like to provide to the board to give them an idea of where this is and what's entailed.
Did you take the photographs, Mr. Vanessa?
I took them off of Google Maps.
Okay, fairly and accurately represent what they purport
Yes.
to. They haven't been altered in any way?
No, not
I will
altered.
accept those into evidence. Mr. Vanessa, so are you saying the 2 businesses, Craft and Legend, still there? Your guy who owns the whole building wants to do that open bar in the back, and then you're going to tell us what this means in terms of also using part of the restaurant?
Correct.
So those 2 businesses are staying there?
Yes, they're in the building that is on the, I guess that is the north side. I'm confused here now. Yeah, it's on the north side of the overall space. There's 2 tenants in there. One is a juice bar, and what is the other one?
It's a licensed
a licensed cosmetics place.
Okay,
And
so I'm,
they occupy those spaces.
So-
Behind them is where that open area is where he intends to put the outdoor dining.
so wait, on mine, it shows what appear to be two businesses. The restaurant called Craft
Yeah.
and
May I
something
approach?
called Legend.
Can I approach?
Yeah,
I'll show
would
you.
you?
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if it's just the way it's drawn.
It's the way it's drawn.
So it looks like this is Craft, this is Legend, there's your subject, there's parking.
Correct. This is the restaurant. This has the two tenants in it. This is, they're here. They're literally,
What's Legend? Is that one of the two?
I don't know what, I think that it's owned by the business.
Okay, so Legend is not a business.
No. There's bar and there's the cosmetics. The two places, yes. Behind it is where the use.
And then who's part of this restaurant? Stephanie, you can just let the record, Stephanie, let the record reflect, Mr. Benesso just clarified which businesses are in which portions of the subject property.
If you look at the photo array I provided, that first page is an aerial, again, off of Google Maps. It shows, and in this case, north is on top of the page. So you see it calls out Lulu's Organic Juice Bar in Wantagh. That space is that's where the juice bar is. Just above that, it's not called out, but that's where the cosmetics center is. And then Craft Kitchen is the longer building on the south side. That entire property from the curb at Wantagh Avenue out to the municipal parking lot, it's a large rectangular parcel that is actually owned by Mr. Gerasi. The lots in this shopping center include the parking lots, and they're owned by the individual.
Does he own the Silver
space.
Scissors too?
No, he does not.
Okay, so he owns just, even though they're all connected.
Correct.
He just owns that section.
Correct.
So Lulu's Bar, correct? And then go to the juice bar. And then you go to Craft,
Craft to the south is Craft Kitchen.
that's not part of this.
That is
Yes,
part
it
of this.
is.
That's the main business that is going to be having the outdoor
Okay.
dining.
And then the frozen Italian ices, that's not it.
No, that is not his property.
Nor is Silver Scissors.
If you look at page 2 of the photos, that's a street view of the Wantagh Avenue side. You can see Craft Tap House, then you see Cosmo Prop, and the Organic Juice Bar. Those are to the north, and those are his tenants. Frozies is not his property, but Cosmo Prop and Organic Juice Bar, those are his properties, and those are his tenants.
The photos you submit, and then I just want to get my orientation first. The photos that you submitted, there's already outdoor dining in the front, it looks like.
Correct. That right now, as we were discussing briefly, there's so much demand for outdoor dining. People like to eat outside in nice weather, that in order to accommodate his customers, he set up some tables and chairs literally out in the parking lot, and he's been operating like that. I know, it's not the safest thing. If you look on the aerial photograph, that is the first one, you can see the umbrellas that are there. That is going away, presumably, if this project is approved. That is definitely going away
Yeah.
if this project is approved.
Or maybe even if it's not.
Yeah, perhaps even if it's not.
That occupies parking spaces.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
And that's what-
It
and
absolutely
maybe even if
does.
it's not.
Didn't we grant variances for parking on
No,
some
you
of these?
did not, that is not permitted out there. That is not a
Well, aside
permitted
from that,
operation.
okay.
Mr. Benesso?
Yes.
Kind of along the same lines, but before you get going, when they parking, since these are all structures are connected but not owned by the same people, and the parking lot's kind of an aggregate thing,
Right.
how was the was the parking calculated, the need on the whole lot? And
No.
if so, okay, just on his businesses?
It's calculated based on his businesses.
Okay, and then how did they determine how that applied to the group lot?
Well, they calculated and based, Becky, you want to address this?
Because then I wanted to know, so you do it all at once?
Is she part of your case?
No, but I wanted to
After
know if there were
discussing
prior
with-
variances.
After discussing with the plan examiner of record, it was combined. The parking was determined by combining both of the properties.
Both are, how many owners are there? Just two?
There's two entities, but the principal is Mr. Gerasi.
No, but I mean, when you say both owners are, do you mean all the businesses that are sharing that parking lot?
Yes.
No,
Well, everything that would affect the parking, so Kraft has its parking calculation, and then I think it's a yogurt shop, correct?
That's not his, but yes,
Right.
that's on the other side.
That's behind it, that's where they're placing,
No, that's next door, that's owned by someone else.
right. It was, all of the parking was taken into consideration when he denied it for outside dining.
So he did every building that shares that lot and said, how much parking does that whole, all those buildings need, including his
Everything that affected the parking calculation, all of those businesses that affected the parking calculation were taken into consideration.
Okay, and then, so we will have a count of all the spots in the whole parking lot and all the needs using the parking lot.
Well, from what I
No.
recall, because I didn't look at it directly, there's a municipal lot.
yeah.
Right,
there's a
but
munis-
just in terms of what we are asked to grant as a variance, the municipal lot is a consideration for sure on whether or not it's, can be given a variance and there's sufficient otherwise parking.
The plan as it was submitted calculated the parking for his overall parcel, and it was based upon the requirement for the retail space in the juice bar, the retail space in the beauty supply place, and the restaurant and bar area. That totaled a requirement of 18 and 23, 30 spaces, of which he is providing 9, none of which are deemed permitted by the board because some are in the front yard setback, others they're not fully on his property. So they listed it as deficient 21 spaces, but the parking, the building department indicated that it's a full waiver.
Wait, so his 4 businesses, the new outdoor, the indoor restaurant, the juice bar, and the cosmetic store, altogether only require 30 spots?
Correct. Because you've got 1,400.15 square feet of retail for the juice bar, 221158 for the beauty supply, and then you've got the restaurant, which the occupancy is 30, total, the new outdoor open bar area and bathroom requires a total of 11.33, and that accounts for the total space.
And then-
The restaurant parking is already considered as part of the space.
So then when you say they gave him, that they said he doesn't, that you said there's 9, but they don't pass muster. So
Correct.
did they only count the spaces that were directly in front of his businesses?
Yes.
That's what it looks like.
That's what
Yes,
I
because-
presume that's what they did.
Okay, well, that's better than not knowing. All right, so there are 9 in front of on his property,
Right, which currently you
none
can't
of which
get at
meet
because
the
of the
requirements
parking,
for size
Because of the
and-
outdoor dining.
sorry, go ahead.
I said, which you can't get to some of those parking spaces in front of his space because of the outdoor dining that's occurring there right now.
He doesn't have a permit for that, does he?
No.
Okay.
That will go away, and it will become available parking again.
Has there been an application before the board in the past for variances in off-street parking for this establishment and the adjacent establishment?
Well, if they're doing it in just his, we just need to know for his then, right? Because that was what I was asking.
No. How long have you owned it? 7 years. Since he's owned it before COVID, I guess it was just before, 2019 he's owned it since, and there was no application.
But since they're analyzing it the way they are, which I actually appreciate, because in the group ones, you never know what the thing is. But as far as he knows, there's none that are even though he hasn't always owned it, but even before he owned it, and you would have been made aware with this case, that there's no existing credit for parking relief for this property,
Not
right?
Yeah, not as far as we know, no.
Okay. So
Didn't the Irish poet have an application for parking?
Well, that's one
That's a
of the
different
lots.
site, that's a different property.
It's the same parking lot.
No, but they're not
It's-
doing it that way. Look.
It's the same parking lot, but
doing
that's
only
not
the
the
parking
way
that's in front of his
it
place.
was broken out in terms of
See?
building department review.
They're
better
separate
this way.
parcels. It's
Yeah,
just-
I mean-
It appears to be the same parking lot, but they're
Yeah.
actually each have their
Yeah, see
own
what they
Yeah.
But
property.
it's not, it's shared.
Right, but
Yes,
that's not how
it-
they're doing it.
It-
Look.
It actually, the property lines go down.
It's an unusual situation. Most of the time, you have common area parking that belongs to every tenant or every owner in the community, in the shopping center. In this case, you've almost got like townhouse lots, commercial townhouse lots that include the land in front of the property that is strictly their property. Now, I don't know if there are cross-access easements. I presume that there must be something in place that allows people to cross over the parking lot, going back and forth. It's operated for many years as a open shopping center parking lot, and I don't believe that they personalize the spaces. But that being said,
It's more accurate this way, I think.
well, it is from a certain perspective, you're right. But the bottom line is that we have a very big municipal parking lot behind this property that, as you'll hear from Mr. Muller, has more than sufficient parking to accommodate the parking needs of this use, existing and future with the outdoor dining area, as well as the other uses that are presently occurring in the facility. And you'll hear that from Mr. Muller shortly. But going back to the photos, you can see, again, that the front, right now, several parking spaces are occupied by that outdoor dining area that's going to go away. You could also see it on the second page of the Google Map photo. The third page is what the rear of the property looks like right now. That area where you see the dumpsters and you see some fencing, that area is the area where the outdoor dining will go. They presently have refuse. They have
Right next to the dining.
sorry?
They might end up moving that if the refuse is right next to the dining.
Well, it's very hard to see. Unfortunately, I could not get it to come out darker, but the fourth page shows how that space is going to look in the future. There's going to be a masonry wall with a wrought iron fence on top with a gate, a sliding gate that will give access to the outdoor dining area. It'll be much safer, certainly, than the outdoor dining area that's presently existing in the front. That small structure you see there is a bathroom for the outside. It'll just a powder room, bathroom, and a commode and a sink. And then on the left side of this depiction, again, it did not come out clearly, but I can show you a larger plan, and you can see that that's where now the refuse containers are going to be in that location.
Over by Kraft or on the other side?
Those are behind Craig.
The ones that are there now will move to our dining.
Right. The wall will be continued. There'll be a door that goes down, for a delivery door that goes down into the basement of the restaurant. And then this will open to gain access to the refuse containers, which will be back behind the wall. You won't see them anymore from the parking lot. They'll be back behind the feet in the wall.
And he doesn't own the restaurant or operate it? He does. Oh, okay, okay.
So the other relief,
Based upon what you just said, there's a structure behind Kraft with an awning over it. What is that?
that's going away. That is going away, and there will now just be containers. There'll be, let me just pull up that plan. There are going to be three 2-yard containers in that area back there. There's going to be gates that open up to provide access to them. Then there's going to be a walk-in box that is out there that is
Yeah.
to be maintained. That's under application number 24-11366. And then just open area for access to the restaurant to go into the outdoor dining area. I can show you that floor plan too. It's a little
I
easier
was-
to see it.
There's a sign that says no parking, you'll be towed. Two signs where the dumpsters are apparently.
So, as indicated, you'll hear from Mr. Muller in a moment regarding the parking. So we're seeking the special exception for the public assembly in the outdoor dining area, a special exception to use part of the premises of the neighboring store, albeit he owns it, for the outdoor dining area, the off-street parking, and then you have the insufficient maneuvering aisle that's in the front of the property, and the masonry wall, gate, and fence varying in height from 6 feet 6 inches to 8 feet, as opposed to the limit of 6 feet.
Why do they need an 8-foot-high fence?
Mr. Gerasi, you want to speak to that?
Has he been sworn? Swear.
Anthony Gerasi, 1885 Wantor Avenue, Wantor, New York, 11793. The fence was it's just a beautification fence, brick with some wrought iron on top, just to encase the project, you could see in it, so maybe I think the masonry walls maybe only 4, 5 feet high, but then the wrought iron up top is something you can see through, and it just, aesthetics, it just looks really nice.
So it's 5-foot wall plus fence?
I don't know exactly from the plans how high the walls, but it's not an 8-foot cement wall.
So the overall height from the street level sidewalk to the top of the wrought iron is 8 feet.
Correct.
Well, it varies from 6'6" to 8".
And it ranges from 6 foot 6 inches to 8 feet high. The maximum height is 8 feet. At this point, I'll call upon Mr. Muller to speak to the parking variance.
Good afternoon. For the record, Wayne Muller, excuse me, R&M Engineering, offices at 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York.
Mr. Mueller, you've been qualified by this board as a traffic and parking expert on numerous occasions. Since the last time you were qualified by the board, have any of your qualifications changed?
No, they have not.
Okay, so we will once again qualify you to give expert testimony with regard to parking and traffic.
Thank you.
Mr. Muller, just before that, I thought there were 9 spots that didn't meet the requirement, but I feel like I'm counting more than 9 spots. Can you just clarify? I thought there were 6 spots in the front. See those 6 together? Where I thought was 6. 18, 18, not by 9.
Yeah.
But they can't, they aren't 18 by 9 because aren't they insufficient stall size? Oh, no, they're not.
No, they're
But
fine.
then, so if that's 6, then it looks like there's 7, 8, 9, 10,
Well,
11, 12 or something.
I think some of the ones crossed the property line, they weren't being counted. So it's 1, 2, 3, 6. I guess it could be considered to be 10.
Yeah, it looks like it could be 10.
Could be 10.
Well, I know none of them are counted because none of them meet the requirements, but I still, are there 6 out in the front? The lines look like there's 6.
Correct.
Those 6
Six
that are
that
together.
are parallel to Montauk Avenue.
Okay, great, so that is 6 spots.
And then it looks like one from north to south, 1, 2, 3, 4. Possibly,
more,
and then one of the accessible stalls crosses the property line with the adjacent property to the south.
I see. Okay, so that's, okay, go ahead.
So for the record, we prepared a report dated May 22nd, 2025. In accordance with the board's procedures, I brought additional copies to be handed in as part of the record. Again, these
Take
reports are
them.
dated May 22nd, 2025.
We'll accept it.
Thank you. And I believe Mr. Panesso has adequately described the application that's here before the board this afternoon. As indicated in my report, we performed a very detailed parking assessment of the relative impacts of the subject development on the parking conditions in and around the subject property. We performed observations of both the entire parking lot that's located to the west of the buildings, between the buildings and Montauk Avenue, and then again in the significantly large municipal parking fields that are located to the east of the subject. And those fields are municipal parking field WA-5, WA-5, Montauk 5, and Montauk 5A. As indicated on page 204 of my report, and all the data that we collected is appended in the rear of my report in the various different tables, but that the peak hour on Friday occurred at 6 o'clock in the evening. Page 204, in bullet number 3. On the report. So the peak hour on Friday between noon and 11 o'clock when we counted it occurred at 6 o'clock in the evening. In the lot, which we called on-site, which is the lot to the west of the buildings, there were 57 vehicles parked, representing an 81% occupancy, leaving 13 vacant spaces. In the municipal parking fields located to the east of the subject property, there were 273 vehicles parked. That translated to a 71% occupancy, leaving 111 vacant spaces. So combining those two numbers, there were 330 vehicles parked, 124 vacant spaces, and a 73% occupancy of those two parking fields. On Saturday, May 10th, 2025, the peak hour again occurred at 6 o'clock in the evening. At such time, there were 281 vehicles parked composite between those two parking areas. That translated to a 62% occupancy and 173 vacant parking spaces. What we observed was that Craft Kitchen and Tap House was fully operational during the time that we obtained the data. As indicated in my report, we did indicate that there was one vacant tenant space at 1887 Wantaw Avenue. That's a little bit north of the site, and that was 1,250 square feet. And as indicated in my report, we included the vacant space within our analysis, and the results of our analysis are contained on page 3 of 4 of my report.
Mr. Mueller, real quick, did you find it surprising that the vacancy rate on Friday at 6 p.m. was not that much, that the Saturday vacancy rate at the same time was not greater than it was? You think of like all the train traffic and stuff.
Well, I think on Saturday, the train traffic actually goes down.
That's my point.
Yeah, so you had,
I would think it'd be significantly less.
but again, there are a lot of, this municipal parking field not only services the buildings that front on it, however, there are other uses due south of the subject that also rely on this municipal lot to satisfy a portion of their demand. And I'd point to Mulcahy's, which is located not too far away from the subject, to the south and a little bit further, I guess it's just due south actually in this portion. So I would anticipate that some of their patrons would park here and walk to Mulcahy's. There's also Wantaw Inn, located a little bit further east of Mulcahy's. Doesn't provide really any on-site parking.
That Saturday at 6, the municipal lot would be significantly emptier. I know Mulcahy's is very popular, significantly emptier than Friday at 6. Like, most train stations, like, you know, there's 300 during the week and there's 7. Now, granted, more of the businesses along this area need that municipal lot.
Yeah.
Go on, Mr. Mueller.
Excuse me?
Go on.
Oh, okay. So then, the results of our analysis are contained on page
I don't
3
need
of
this.
4.
I don't need.
And about halfway down the page, including the projected activity from both the project, the outside dining space, the vacant space at 1887 Wanto Avenue. We would not anticipate a significant increase in the level of parking. It would go from 330 to 351, leaving 103 vacant parking spaces on Friday at 6 o'clock, and again on Saturday. It would translate to a 299 vehicles parked, leaving 155 vacant spaces. So no matter how we look at it, the approval of this project will in no way, shape, or form impact parking conditions in and around the subject property.
The parking calculation was a municipal lot plus the lot in front of the buildings, that fronts on Wantor Avenue? Those spaces you calculated as the, or is it just the,
It was both. We counted both the lots, the composite lots along that,
Okay.
that are due east of Wanto Avenue along the building frontage, and then the big municipal lots.
the
So we
numbers
looked at
that you're giving now are combined?
Combined.
both. Correct.
All right.
Yeah, we look at the peak of the area. But again, there's, the lot that's in front of the buildings is significantly smaller than the lots that are behind. That's a very large municipal lot. And it services, you know, the shopping traffic from other uses in the area that generate, you know, some activity, and then the buildings that front it, as well as these buildings and other buildings to the south and east. The last part of my analysis showed that the level of traffic that would be generated by the proposed outdoor dining would be relatively insignificant as it relates to the area, and that we don't believe that there'd be any significant impacts to both parking and traffic conditions as a result of the approval of this project. Thank you.
Mr. Mueller, if I missed it, what were the hours that you made these observations?
It was between noon, between noon and 11 p.m.
11.
And those correspond directly to the peak hours of craft. And I was there again last Friday afternoon around 4. There was plenty of parking.
And I think you said the peak hour was actually 6 p.m. on both Friday and Saturday?
6 p.m., correct?
I find that rather interesting, but maybe I dine later than most people, I'm not sure.
I mean, there's a lot of popular places within this area of Wantor. And fortunately, the town of Hempstead has provided significant amounts of off-street parking to accommodate the activity.
It could also be, Mr. Chairman, and I've heard this be the case before in other shopping centers, as much as most people dine a little later than 6 p.m., the retailers are more active during the daytime period. So at 6 p.m., you might have a mix of both, whereas at 7 or 8 p.m., you're just having the diners.
Okay. Right,
Unless you have any...
wait,
Unless there are other questions for Mr. Mueller?
there may be.
Okay.
Are the spaces in the front of the building required to have bollards, or in the back as well, because you do pull up right to the sidewalk to the outdoor dining?
Well, the back where the outdoor dining, I think that's backing the municipal lot, so that would be a question for the engineering department. The front would not require.
Assuming that engineering department, what is it, is there a building code requirement for them to have bollards?
No.
It is not.
They are going to have a masonry wall separating the outdoor dining area from the sidewalk and then the municipal parking lot. So there will be some protection afforded by the masonry wall, on top of which will be the wrought iron fencing.
Mr. Mueller?
Okay, I'm sorry.
May I just ask you which of the spots in the front parking lot were denied for the maneuverability? Was it all of them, or?
I think it's probably the diagonal backup spots.
It's just these.
I think it doesn't really say on the plan, but probably the diagonal spots. I mean, the composite lot in front of the buildings was developed some time ago. I mean, as long as I can remember, the strip of stores has been there on Montoy Avenue. And,
Do we know what the backup is instead of 24?
Well, you don't need 24 when it's diagonal, but Becky, what is the requirement?
Do we know
It's
what it?
based on the angle. I'd have to actually look.
Because this is measuring 21.7 feet back up from the bottom space to the first space along that runs parallel to Wantaw Avenue. I can only assume that that's insufficient.
I'd also like to say that if you look at the plan, the three spots that are, the northernmost three spots,
Right.
the backup aisle actually crosses the property line because of the way that the properties and the parking lots are configured. So those don't have the required backup space.
Wait, the northern, which one's on the northern
So
side?
if you turn the plan,
Yeah, I'm looking at the north. I see the arrow.
it's
But-
those three that are parallel to Wantaw Avenue.
So you think it was denied? Do you know that if the property line wasn't there, is there 24?
No, yes, between the adjacent spots to the.
Really?
To the north. Yeah, because this is laid out as one big parking lot.
It just doesn't look like there's 24 there, but,
It's pretty close.
okay.
Yeah, but again, then that other property owns its own chunk of parking. But the way that it's laid out is one cohesive parking lot.
We do have several letters of support. I've got 5 letters of support here from neighboring residents and also businesses that I'd like to hand up to the board. I also personally spoke to 2 different tenants in the shopping center who asked what was being proposed here, and when I described it, they both indicated their support for the application. And I know that a couple of neighbors came down here today to show their support as well. That's our direct presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else who would like to speak in connection with this application, other than Mr. Nelson, who? No one? Okay, any other questions from the board?
My only, I'll say objection is that somebody put signs that do not park here. You're gonna get towed away if you block the access to the dumpsters. I think that's egregious. It's a municipal lot, and anybody could park there. And I'd be intimidated myself by parking there and getting the threat of towed away. I don't want to go through that after having dinner with my wife. It's just wrong.
Unless it's directed to him.
I've just explained to Mr. Gerasi just indicated, he put those signs up because when people would park there, he was unable to have the pickup. But I just explained to him that that's not something that he's entitled to do of his own accord. If he wanted to petition the town for that kind of relief, that's a different story. But he cannot do that. He's agreed. He will not do that again.
And I do understand that it would impose upon the trash pickup, but
Yeah.
that's,
And he didn't want the smell from the refuse to be affecting other neighbors, but it's something he understands now that he cannot do unilaterally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa, so, what about you have, eating space in the front that's not legalized? In other words, you just put tables out and decide.
Those are going away.
No,
We
but-
would,
But, the reason I'm mentioning it is because we're talking about the garbage. Your client seems to do whatever he wants. He put signs up not to park in a municipal lot, and then he put up six places to eat in the parking lot without a permit. So,
So that's-
let me just finish, sir. I just want your assurances that, you know, if we do consider this, that you're going to abide by the rules.
100%. Now, if I could
Thank
just clarify the dumpster part first. The sign was only put up because people would park there, leave their car overnight for several nights. The dumpster wouldn't get picked up. In the summer, 100 degrees outside, the smell, and there's nothing, you can't move a dumpster out of the way with a car parked there. So it was only to respect my neighbors and their boundaries as far as removing the debris. As far as out front, we opened up 6 months before COVID, September. We did have, for the last 5 years, permission to have 6 tables outside for dining. So every year we, with the town, submitted the forms, and then we just kept doing it every year. Correct. This past year, they stopped the application.
It's expired now.
Yes. Just to correct when, I'm sorry, but. No. It's been out there for 3 weeks. Correct, yeah, it doesn't stay out there all year long.
He's not going to do it. He won't do it.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered.
Second? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have case 35225 East Meadow, Califan Management LLC. Special exception to construct 2-story addition for non-permitted storage, waive off-street parking, parking in front yard setbacks on Hempstead Turnpike and Prospect Avenue, also known as 2344 Hempstead Turnpike.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On behalf of the applicant, Califan Management LLC, I am Samuel L. Bifolco of Son, Ward, Braff, Coshicnano, located at 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Suite 601, Uniondale, New York, 11553. Joining me this afternoon, behind me to my left, is the applicant, Mr. Mohammed Califan of Califan Management LLC. And before I begin my formal presentation to the board, I'd like to thank you for your attention to this matter, and I'd also like to thank the members of the Office of the Board of Appeals for their assistance. The subject premises is located at 2344 Hempstead Turnpike, East Meadow, New York, 11554, and is known on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map as Section 50, Block 363, Lot 1. The parcel is an approximately 110-foot by 70-foot or 7,900 square foot lot in size, located in the town's Business X zoning district, and is situated on the south side of Hempstead Turnpike, directly east of Prospect Avenue. At this time, I would like to submit a survey to be designated as Exhibit A, along with a number of other exhibits as well.
Is it already designated as A, or
It needs to be
there's no others?
correct. The subject premises abuts Hempstead Turnpike to the north and is surrounded by other commercial uses to the east and west. Directly to the east is a commercial strip mall comprising of a salon and barber shop, and to the west is a commercial shopping center home to Uncle Giuseppe's Marketplace and a host of other local businesses. Residential properties are adjacent to the subject premises to the south, specifically on Post Street. My clients, Mr. Mohammed Khalfan and his brother, Mr. Abbas Khalfan, are local residents who own and operate the business known as Digitech at the subject premises. The company, family-owned and operated, has been in existence for approximately 25 years, providing print and print-related services to the greater Nassau County community. As local business owners, the brothers value community and have worked diligent. Sure. Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. As local business owners, the brothers value the community and work diligently to be involved in local events and philanthropic endeavors. Given Digitech's long-term success as a local business, they are seeking to expand their footprint of their current building, which has led us before the board today. My clients are proposing an approximately 24-foot by 27-foot, two-story addition, or 659 square feet, at the southwest corner of the existing structure, which will be 24 feet 8 inches at its top height. An application for same was submitted to the building department and has been designated as 24-3067. A copy of the plot plan depicting the proposed addition has been submitted this afternoon and designated as Exhibit B for your review.
Is it any different than the one that had been submitted in the 30-day window?
It is not any different. Thank you. The purpose of this addition is to reorganize the shop to create a more efficient work environment. The proposed addition will allow ownership to add a new flatbed printer machine, which will help with the logistics and operations in the productions of materials. Further, the space will also serve as a storage area for inventory such as paper, rolls, boards, and other miscellaneous supplies.
Do I correctly understand that the rest of the building is one story? So this is going to be the only section that's two-story, or is there some other application for the second story on the existing building?
It's an existing two-story structure.
The whole structure?
No, part of the structure, it's a 1.5-story structure if you,
Oh, because
Yes.
it says existing one story, and then this
What-
says a proposed two-story. That's
May-
why I asked.
may I ask what you're referencing?
The plot
The
plan.
plot plan? It is a 1.5-story structure as it currently
What
exists.
does that mean technically?
There is, part of the structure has a second floor, but it's not the entire footprint.
Okay, is it the portion near the proposal?
It is towards the rear of the structure, yes. On the, bear with me one moment, please.
Hold on, Chairman. No. Can you show me?
I don't know. Yes. Digitech. Unitech. Is it Unitech?
Oh, so it's a peaked roof on the portion that's is attic-like space or something? Okay.
Correct.
Okay, keep going, I just want to understand. Thank you.
Accordingly, and to carry out the proposal, we're seeking relief of the Town Hempstead Building Zone Ordinance, a special exception to construct a two-story addition for non-permitted storage, to waive the off-street parking requirements, and to allow for parking in the front yard setback on Hempstead Turnpike and Prospect Avenue. With respect to the parking relief, we are seeking relief to permit 4 parking stalls where 11 is required,
Is 11 for the whole the whole structure or for the new stuff?
including the existing and proposed.
So the whole calculation with the proposal is 11 spots?
Correct.
And you have 4, but they're not legal?
Correct.
Okay, keep going.
This is going next to Uncle Giuseppe's?
It is,
Put me back.
sure. So, it is east, directly east of Uncle Giuseppe's on its own parcel at the intersection of Prospect and Hempstead Turnpike.
Uncle Giuseppe's across the street?
Correct.
Okay. It's near the car wash.
Sorry?
Near the
It's
car
near the car wash.
Yep, the Duck Donuts is over there, the Sobol, the Uncle Giuseppe's, that's to our, to the west of us. And to the east of us is a small strip center with a barber shop and salon.
Thank you.
My client has spoken with a number of adjacent property owners and has obtained consent letters of support from 6 residents and business owners in the immediate area. Ms. Kim Marie DeCampi of 2353 Post Street, which is located behind the subject premises to the south. Ms. Shamlai Bhatti of 2371 Post Street, also located to the south. And then management of Stylish Salon at 2350 Hempstead Turnpike, management of A-Cut Studio Barbershop at 2352 Hempstead Turnpike, management of Jersey Mike's at 2332 Hempstead Turnpike, and management of Soul Bowl at 2332 Hempstead Turnpike.
Are you submitting something indicating that?
Yes, ma'am. And I respectfully submit these letters of support this afternoon for your consideration. They were included in the exhibit packages, and I ask they be placed into the record as Exhibit C.
So moved.
Did your client speak with the house on Lot 12, Christopher Dewar?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I spoke with Mr. Chris Dorr personally. I went through the proposal with him, and he did not express any opposition to the proposal.
Was that before today or today?
That was yesterday.
Okay, thank you.
That's before today.
With these letters of support in mind, as well as the details of the proposal before you, I submit the granting of this application will create a desirable feature in the character of the community rather than posing a detriment to nearby properties. As it relates to the character of the community, it's important to note that it appears parking stalls are located within the front yard setback at the following commercial properties within the 300-foot radius. The parcel at the intersection of Prospect Avenue and Roosevelt Avenue, and at the following properties: 2295, 2305, 2335, 2356, and 2367 Hempstead Turnpike. A copy of the highlighted area map outlining these properties has been submitted for your review, and I request be designated as Exhibit D.
So moved.
Immediately outside of the 300-foot radius, many additional instances of parking in the front yard setback exist as well at 2172, 2204, 2242, 2419, and 2240 Hempstead Turnpike. This board approved a similar application for permission to park in the front yard setback on another corner property in the vicinity, specifically at the Walgreens location located at 2474 Hempstead Turnpike, known on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map as Section 51, Block 004, Lot 108. Similar to our property, the Walgreens parcel is on a corner lot at the southeast corner of Hempstead Turnpike and Newbridge Road and obtained an approval for similar relief accordingly. In addition, this board approved another comparable application for both permission to park in the front yard setback as well as a parking deficiency at the Starbucks property located at 2148 Hempstead Turnpike, known as Section 50, Block 202, Lot 42, also a corner lot situated on the southwest corner of Hempstead Turnpike and 3rd Street. The notices of decision for the aforementioned matters have been submitted, and I request they be designated as Exhibit E.
So moved.
The benefit sought to the applicants unable to be achieved by any other feasible methods, in that this proposed addition is essential to improving the logistics and operational efficiency of Digitech, allowing for enhanced functionality to their business, positioning them for long-term continued and sustainable success. There's no other means in which the applicant can create the additional space necessary to grow, and to specifically procure the flatbread printer machine, which could be upwards of 10 feet wide by 6 to 8 feet. And as such, and given the necessity of the proposed addition, it follows that the relief sought for the parking is the only feasible method to proceed forward accordingly. The relief sought isn't substantial in that the parking in the front yard setback is commonplace throughout the Hempstead Turnpike corridor, and given the property's location on a corner lot, the 10-foot setback for parking rather than a 20-foot setback for parking creates a scenario whereby the relief sought is insubstantial. The proposal will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, as parking in the front yard setback in the local area is harmonious with surrounding properties. And the parking deficiency will not create any disturbances to the surrounding businesses or residences, as the majority of those who are employed by Digitech utilize public services to travel to and from their place of employment. Furthermore, the overwhelming majority of customer orders are placed online or by telephone, never having to physically visit the property.
Sir, do they already have any variance for the existing conditions,
No, they do not.
parking-wise?
No, they do not, ma'am. And finally, whether the difficulty was self-created is immaterial to the application, as the benefit to the applicant certainly outweighs any detriment to the surrounding community. In closing, we believe the application is in keeping with the character of the community and does not pose a detriment to any nearby properties. And in light of the circumstances, the benefit to the applicant certainly outweighs any potential detriment to the community. Again, I'd like to thank you. I'm available for questions. We thank the board for its consideration and respectfully request the board approve the proposal. as
How
presented.
many employees are there?
There are approximately 6 employees, several of which are part-time employees.
Okay.
They work on a staggered schedule, so they're never all there at the same time. And the majority of them, again, get to work by public transit, by taking the train into the Hempstead train station and bus to the facility.
Most of their work is online, or they're working people? What's that?
As far as customers,
Yeah, to, back into the parking requirement.
absolutely. The overwhelming majority of orders are placed by telephone or email. Occasionally, a customer may set up an appointment to come in and place an order, but that is not a frequent habit.
Thank you.
Counselor, you're aware that there's still an open building permit from 2020 to install a rooftop HVAC?
Yes, sir, we are aware of that, and that will be handled and closed as part of this matter.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Not
Move
to,
the hearing I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
stepped on you.
no, that's right, quite all right. A lot of people
You
do
move that
that.
the hearing be closed. Do I have a motion? That's that.
Go on.
I move the hearing be closed and the case placed on the decision calendar. All those who signed in will be notified. Thank you for your presentation.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board, for your time and consideration. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. No, it goes, HUS goes far beyond.
Next, we have case 13425, West Hempstead, 255 Hempstead, Inc. Variance in off-street parking, construct 2-story and second-story additions to existing building, medical offices, also known as 255 Hempstead Avenue.
We got up. We have opposition on this.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Novello from John F. Capabianco Architect P. LLC, 159 Dowdy Boulevard, Inwood, New York, 11096.
For the record, Wayne Muller, R&M Engineering, offices at 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York.
That's off-street parking. Okay. Nothing. Novello introduced himself and Muller did. Go ahead, Mr. Novello.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. I will be presenting this case on behalf of 255 Hempstead Incorporated. Seated behind me, I have Vinod Sinha and Dr. Francisco Mislicki from the corporation, and sitting to my right is Wayne Muller from R&M Engineering, our traffic engineer. We are proposing the addition of a second floor, and obviously here seeking a parking variance. The code requires 42 parking spaces, and we are supplying 22 parking spaces.
Mr. Novella,
Yes.
I apologize. Can you just remind me why it was adjourned and partial testimony was taken?
Yes, back, I guess, in March 5th.
And May 14th?
Oh, yeah, so March 5th, we were here, and there was a slight change in the plans, and because the plans were not reviewed by the new plans were not reviewed by the plan examiner, we were asked to adjourn to a new date. And then on the May hearing, we were not prepared with the traffic study.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so this building was purchased, one of the main reasons this building was purchased by the corporation was because of its location and proximity to the N31 and N32 bus stop, which is right at the corner of this property. In addition, it's about a third of a mile away from the Long Island Railroad. This location will be a satellite office. Their main office is currently and will remain in Far Rockaway. This will be a very low-traffic medical building. The first floor will primarily be used as a back office where there will be no, walk-in traffic. It's just basically occasionally to do, paperwork and billing. The same staff that works at the Far Rockaway office will be rotating from the Far Rockaway office to this office to remote home work. So it's not going to be, occupied fully every day.
How many, Mr. Novella, how many staff people will be on site at any given time? The maximum number,
Yeah,
please.
on the first floor, about 7 people, and on the second floor, about 5 to 6 people.
So maximum 13 people.
Yes, and I'll explain why. So as I was saying, some of the space on the first floor is for a back office where, it's the same employees that mostly travel by bus that will be there occasionally, and they rotate between the main office in Far Rockaway, and maybe one day a week they work from home remotely. There are about 5 doctors' offices on the first floor, and they are private offices for the doctors to do their paperwork and occasionally do follow-up visits from patients that had recently had procedures. So it's not,
Are those people separate from the 13 that are expected to be there regularly?
no, that's included.
Okay.
They're included, yes. Yeah.
How many exam rooms?
5.
On the first floor, I believe there's only, let's double check.
Those 5 doctors you mentioned doing paperwork and maybe follow-ups, those are offices for the doctor? Or
Yeah, and they're private offices, meaning that, if they're not there, they probably lock the door and
are the exam rooms too?
there's only on the first floor, give me 1 second. There's only 3 exam rooms. And again, they're only there occasionally for the doctors that are going to be on the first floor are ones that do like procedures. So, occasionally when this is just for follow-up.
So those 3 exam rooms on the first floor are used, number 1, sporadically by
Yes.
these 5,
Yes, Yes.
contract tenants, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
them? Are they used by, how many other exam rooms are there in the whole building, and who else uses those 3 exams?
the 3 exam rooms on the first floor are only by those 5 doctors that are, they're never going to be there all at the same time, just occasionally coming there. On the second floor, which I was about to get to, the second floor is a different use. It's a gastroenterologist, outpatient surgical center. If you notice in the, in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see 2 operating rooms. There's some utility spaces that deal with operating rooms. There's 3 recovering rooms, a dressing area. So basically, the second floor is by appointment only. The doctor can only perform, there's going to be 1 operation at a time, but maybe the second patient will be, waiting. So, it's, again, very low traffic, probably 2 patients for every 2 hours, give or take.
So wait, up there on the second floor, you have 2 rooms for operations.
Yes.
How many doctors work up there?
I believe 2, there'll be only 2 doctors.
Okay, and so then they each have an office, presumably.
Yeah.
You have some staff. I mean, for surgery, don't you need 5 or 6 people at a time?
Well, there's 2 doctors, but then there's the nurses station, there's the reception.
Right, 13 people doesn't seem like a lot to run the back office and
Man.
If
to,
you
take
want to get
care of-
specific, we have Dr. Mislicki here. You can ask
Okay.
him, more specific questions, yeah.
We just can't talk at the same time,
Okay.
so sorry, Stephanie. Go ahead.
Okay. So again, like I was saying, the second floor is, for operations, so it's not, it's gonna be, again, low traffic, and, maybe they'll have 10 to 12 patients a day, spread out through the course of the day.
For surgery, but
For
those
surgery.
patients are gonna come for pre-op, post-op,
Yeah.
and they don't have and also just a practice? They're
Well,
running over there?
I don't think that'll be done here. This is just strictly for,
And by the way, I believe most of the patients are going to have someone drive them, will they not?
probably, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
13 people in all?
Well, on the second floor, what did I say on the second floor? About 6 to 7 people? But that's I think you asked the employees, right?
Right.
Employees,
That's what, we'll get to the
Yeah.
operating
Yeah.
yeah.
situation.
Then you can add,
Because
yeah, then you can add, yeah. Okay, so,
Employees.
so again, we're going for a parking variance. Like I said, this time, if you had any questions regarding the layout or the medical office procedures, we can have Dr. Mislicki come up. If not, we can go to Wayne Muller and the traffic report.
your choice,
I think we'd like to hear from the doctor.
yeah, I want to hear from him at some point.
Okay. Should he go up to the podium?
Sure.
He can. Has he been sworn in? Doctor, if you could, is the microphone working? Now it is.
Thank you. Hi, Francisco Mislicki, 4482 Boston Post Road, Pelham, New York, 10803.
Okay. Tell us about the operation of the second floor, Doctor.
Sure. The vision here is to do procedures, outpatient procedures, not major surgeries. For example, upper endoscopy, lower endoscopy, colonoscopy, that kind of thing. So not major surgeries, the simple outpatient procedures.
Yeah, well, that's a far cry from what I had envisioned. So there won't be surgeries in the style that we think of, where there's a couple nurses, there's, intake, outtake, and there's nurses. I've had a lot of surgeries, so there's a lot of people involved in that process. So
We're not performing major surgeries at this place. Like I said, it's going to be outpatient, simple procedures such as endoscopies, a colonoscopy.
And
that kind of thing.
typically, Doctor, during those procedures, how many people are in the room besides the patient? The
You'd have the
physician?
main operator, an assistant, someone manning the anesthesia, helping out, circulating.
And so nothing more than that. When you said not major surgeries, and you highlighted those, but there seems to me there's a big group in between. But are you saying you're not having the kinds of surgeries that require more than the anesthesiologist, the patient, and the operator, maybe assistant?
Right, yeah, physician and assistant, the anesthesia, someone circulating, a nurse, for example. That's the kind of procedure that we're envisioning for this.
And
for this site.
the operating rooms, will they be staffed simultaneously, or you'll go from one room to the other room and one doctor on
Yeah, it could be
staff
that
that
while
day?
one procedure is finishing, we're prepping the next patient in the second room for more seamless kind of
But there'll only be
throughput of patients.
one doctor in the operating rooms at the same time, or both will be operating simultaneously?
That's our current vision, is to only run one at a time for now.
And there
Okay.
are only 2 physicians, or 2 at a time? Maybe there's 4, but they work different hours?
Correct, yeah, it would depend on what the needs are with the patient community there.
And none of the pre or follow-up care for any of this? Like, when I go to the gastro, you go in, if you think you need a procedure, you have a couple visits. Those visits won't take place here too?
They could, in fact, on the first floor, there's space for
Those
that.
3 rooms?
Right, for that to take place, so.
And do you already have the approximately five contract doctors that will operate in those 5 offices below, or?
Yeah, Vantage Medical Associates has more than 40 providers, and so we would be staffing them as appropriate to this location, whether it's gastroenterology, perhaps urology. So yeah, we have a robust staff in place that would meet whatever the needs are of the patient
Is
population.
this building going to be just gastro doctors?
It could be a multi-specialty center. So Vantage Medical Associates as a whole is a multi-specialty medical group. And it could be just gastroenterology. There's an opportunity to do other similar procedures, such as a urologic cystoscopy, for example. So it could be more
I
than
mean,
just
it-
gastroenterology.
Anything ending in oscopy.
That's one way to put it.
The operation that you just pictured as a gastro doctor is very limited. But if you blow up to a dermatology, you could have, 100 patients in there and waiting to go.
We don't have any dermatologists, and that's...
Okay, it's just an example.
Sure, yeah. But again, we're not doing open heart surgeries.
surgery.
We're not, doing anything that's on the high end of
But-
medical.
So it's going to be limited only to surgical procedures.
And follow.
Yeah, it's procedures, yeah. It might be a misnomer to call it major surgery because it's not major surgery. They're
If you had a-
procedures in the scope of a colonoscopy or a cystoscopy.
If you had a dentist in there, you could have 50 patients waiting in the waiting room with 3 oral surgeons inside.
That's correct, yeah. This won't be a high-volume setting whatsoever. Again, this is sort of a satellite facility, so the general philosophy that we employ to provide patient-centered care is to try and meet patients where they are. So that's part of the appeal of this location is the great public transport links. So it's not a high-volume place. We're just looking to try and meet the needs of our patients closer to where they are, and that's not the bulk of.
But are patients going to I can understand taking public transportation to get to the procedure, but usually they want you to have a human being pick them up, which I'm not suggesting is a problem, but most of them are going to end up getting picked up by car, I would assume.
That's correct, yeah. It's also useful for our staff who will be coming from Far Rockaway
Sure.
to make it there.
I have one question for you, Mr. Novello. That the portion of this proposal that's 2 stories, is that just that little crisscross hash mark section?
No. It's the whole second, it's the whole
No,
second.
that's the second story. I'm talking about the 2-story addition.
That area that's crosshatched, that's a
Crisscross.
two, that's a 2-story addition.
Right, that's my question. Is that the only place?
Yes.
You're going outside the footprint, is that small square?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any more questions for the doctor at this time.
I have a question, Doctor.
Yes, sir.
So so you have 2 operating rooms for colonoscopies and endoscopies and similar procedures. I just had a colonoscopy at NYU. There was at least 5 people in the room. Then somebody had to watch you in the recovery room. Then there's somebody in the front that's, there's a lot of backup staff, if you know what I'm saying. So if you have 2 procedure rooms, and then you have examination rooms on the first floor, you said?
Correct.
It seems to me that you're gonna need more than 13 employees.
I can't speak directly as to the operations at NYU, but something as routine as a colonoscopy can be handled with lots of staff or little staff.
No, but I'm not comparing you to NYU, I'm just saying that as far as the parking is concerned, and you're in suburban Nassau County, you're not in Far Rockaway, it seems that you're gonna have a lot more traffic, I'm not talking to the traffic expert, I'm just talking to you as a doctor, how many patients are coming in, and they have to get there somehow,
Right, yeah.
That's all. I was just curious what your thoughts were. I mean, if let's say tomorrow, Thursdays you do colonoscopies or endoscopies at this location, how many patients do you expect to see?
I think we kind of
I
lost
mean,
sight of
on an average.
Right, yeah. Again, it depends on the needs of the patients here. It's not going to be, much more than a double digit. I mean, it's going to be less than 10 in a day, for example. That's our current vision right now.
And what about the doctors on the first floor that are having appointments or follow-ups?
Yeah, those follow-ups, again, it's not going to be a very high-volume setting. Again, this is a satellite facility, so again, 10 visits in a day.
So if I was your patient, and let's say I called you up, I needed to see you, not for an endoscopy or just to see you, would I come there, or would I, if I lived in West Hempstead, would I come there?
Yeah, if you lived in West Hempstead and we did your colonoscopy, we could have your follow-up visit there
Okay,
at
so
that facility.
on that basis, how many patients are you, let's say you're in West Hempstead on Thursdays, how many patients are you expecting to see for regular office visits?
Sure, so we might do 7 procedures in a day and have 7 follow-up appointments, for example.
So about, let's say, 12 to 15 patients.
That could be,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. I
Yeah,
just
you're
was
welcome.
curious, thank you.
Just one question. Do you have any other satellite offices?
Yeah, Vantage actually has 9 locations spanning from Brooklyn into Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk.
Oh, okay. So how have they been working out?
Very well, yeah. The hub and spoke model, I think, works for us. And again, we've always tried to reach patients where they are. So we also have a robust house calls program, a mobile clinic. We're always trying to bring care to where patients are, which is typically no matter what stage of life you're in, where you want to get care. So it works very well for us, and we're able to deploy our physicians strategically to meet the needs of our patients. So we can schedule, lots of procedures in one area on a specific day to make all the operations more efficient and make sure that people are getting, taking care of where they are and don't have to commute.
Yeah, well, from my experience personally, I've been part of that process, and I think it goes very well, and I've been very pleased with it. So I just wanted to ask you, your opinion. Thank you very much.
Glad to hear that.
So you said it's called Advantage Care? So
Vantage Medical Associates is the
that
medical group.
Is that one of the ones that's predominantly like what used to be a Medicare supplement? Like it goes with Medicare, or is it also just a plain old insurance group, or
So
what?
we're a provider group, so we take most insurances, but we don't provide insurance per se. We accept insurances and we provide care. So we're a provider group. Physicians, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, nurses. Well, this is a broader discussion on the healthcare industry and consolidation, and but we're just a provider group. Yeah.
So if there's no further questions to the doctor, I guess we'll go to the traffic engineer.
Thank you.
Fortunately, no. Thank you. Again, for the record, thank you. For the record, Wayne Muller, R&M Engineering, offices at 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York. As part of the board's procedures, we submitted a document previously to the board dated May 22nd, 2025. In addition, I have handed up hard copies to the board of that same report this afternoon. As indicated by Mr. Novello, it is proposed to expand the existing building to contain a small addition on the first floor and a second floor to accommodate a medical office use. That was pretty fully described by Mr. Novello and and the doctor. As part of our analysis, we performed an observation of the existing parking within the area, that being on-street on Hempstead Avenue, from Woodlawn Road to Sycamore Street, and off-street in municipal parking area WH4, which is located directly across the subject property. I'd like to point out that there is a traffic signal located at the intersection of Maplewood Street and Hempstead Avenue, which is located directly adjacent to the subject property. The traffic light does contain crosswalks, and pedestrian don't walk and walk signals, and that would allow patrons of the facility who would want to park in the municipal parking area to safely cross Hempstead Avenue in this area. Directly across Maplewood Street, opposite the subject property, is the West Hempstead Post Office. That looks like it has been there for some time. As part of our analysis, we computed the quantity of vehicles parked in accordance with the statistics presented in the Institute of Transportation Engineers Parking Generation Manual, 6th edition, which is the latest edition, using the statistics pertaining to a medical dental office. Based on the plans prepared by Mr. Novello's office, there's a total of roughly 8,350 square feet of medical office. That would be the gross floor area. Utilizing the ITE statistics, we would anticipate 22 vehicles parked. So therefore, we would anticipate that the lot would be fully occupied. We did notice that there was available parking on street, just directly adjacent to the subject property, which had no regulations. In addition, there's available on-street parking across the street along the frontage of the municipal parking area, which had no regulations. However, the parking on Maplewood Street is significantly regulated to 30-minute parking from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., so that wouldn't be attractive to the patrons that would come to the medical office building. And I believe those regulations were probably put in place due to the really close proximity to the post office, where people go in and go out and grab whatever they're doing at the post office. It was my observations that the majority of the postal employees park in a municipal lot, which makes sense. Post office contains a really limited parking area, which really only serves to house the postal trucks and the deliveries for the post office. Our analysis has indicated that the approval of this development by the board would in no way, shape, or form create a problem with parking conditions on the property. We believe it will all be fully contained, and that another analysis we did perform was the traffic generated by this use as it would relate to the former drive-in bank use. And I'd just like to submit one copy of a table, which we did not present as part of our report, but I'd like to submit here today. Did more than one copy? And that table's denoted as Table A, dated June 25, 2025. And what it shows is that utilizing the national statistics for traffic generation, the proposed medical building would generate less traffic than the former drive-in bank had it been a viable bank. So from a traffic generation perspective, the medical use is slightly less intense or in concert with the previous use of the property. So therefore, it is my professional opinion that the granting of the relief required to allow the addition of the small first floor addition and the second floor office space will not create any undue traffic congestion or hazard, and that there's adequate parking provided on the property to accommodate the use, and as further indicated by the doctor, based on his estimate of the number of employees and patients, there will be more than sufficient parking. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are we talking about the area across from Reester's, that back?
So across the street, it looks like there's a Chinese restaurant across the street, yeah, directly next door to the municipal lot. Used to be a Friendly's, I think. Right, so that was the Friendly's, and then there's a municipal lot where there's available parking. Correct, across from that is another lot. Yeah, I do agree. So the medical use will fit in well with the area, I believe. Thank you.
I do. Abraham Mayer, 120 Maplewood Street, West Hempstead, New York. On Maplewood Street, I am the second house after the facility. Yes, that's my wife. I've been paying attention to this process for some months now, and to everything that's been said here today. I have a couple of concerns that I'd like to bring up. My first concern is regarding, which has been addressed here by the members of this board. I just want to reiterate and bring up a few extra points. The first instance, that there will only be approximately 7 employees for the first floor use, seems a little disingenuous when the doctor himself came up and told this board that, no, it's not only going to be back office use, it's going to be used for follow-up visits for the gastroenterology practice as well, which leads me to believe it's going to be more than 7 persons. And then, correct. Correct. The first floor, if I understood the plans and the permit application correctly, is meant more for a telehealth medicine type practice, where there will be back office work and there will be back office employees, whatever that means. We didn't get quite a good explanation of that. I'm more concerned about people who are coming to the office, because I was the one who ultimately requested the traffic study on our first hearing date, which is why this hearing was originally adjourned. And I'm concerned about the traffic study from the regard of the traffic study fails to take into consideration 240 Hempstead Avenue, which is a mere 250 feet away down the block, which is the current construction and completion over the next 2 months of a school, nursery to 8th grade, the Hebrew Academy of Nassau County, and they are expecting to start come September.
Have been taken into account by the traffic individual study.
Well, part of that would have to be the parking, on-street parking that's going to be used by the parent body. Now, I state this because the current facility is only K through 6, is located at 609 Hempstead Avenue, and the neighbors there are constantly complaining about the traffic and the parking by parents coming and going, beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, bus traffic, things like that.
So hold on, is that new school, if you will, already got all of its improvement and it doesn't have enough parking? Is that why you're concerned?
No, my concern is the
Doesn't have
additional
enough parking?
I know, my concern is the additional parking that this facility is going to put on Maplewood Street.
Okay, did the Hebrew Academy get a parking variance?
I believe that they have all the variances that they needed to get, yes.
But I'm asking you if one of them was parking.
That I don't know.
Because if not, then it's not really of concern to the school because they're going to park on this premises. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay.
Okay. The next thing I would like to point out is something that Mr. DeGrace pointed out, since he frequents the area on a fairly regular basis. You have this facility, this property, 255 Hempstead Avenue, which is the corner property, and there is on-street parking and there is the municipal lot that people frequent. However, the post office is used on a very regular basis, and the on-street parking that the post office uses is astronomical. And when I say astronomical, I myself am an attorney. I work in an office, I drive, I come and go. I'm at home at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm at home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm at home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I usually can't park in front of my house until 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon because of the amount of on-street parking issues that we have already. The signs that were referred to on Maplewood Street that say that there is a minimum of 30-minute parking, my understanding is that actually dates back in the day when Shoppers Village and wholesale liquidators existed in the neighborhood. But those signs aren't enforced. All right, people park, they park there for multiple days, overnight. It's just the way it is. So there's not as much available parking on the street as this traffic study would have this board believe. Now, finally, my biggest concern is really what is going to be in this facility. It's a private property. The doctor and the practice can do whatever they want. I respect that. But if they're going to be bringing in medical practices that are going to bring in patients, that are going to be bringing in traffic, and there's not enough parking on the site, then it's going to spill over onto the street. And it's going to spill over in front of my house and in front of my neighbors' houses. And it's just something that we don't want. Thank you.
Mr. Novell, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
The hours of operation of the medical facility, because I looked online with the name that he gave, and all those places are open every day. Is this medical facility going to be open every day? And what would the hours be? Because one of them said it was open till like late at night.
So we have operations open in the sense that people can call in. A lot of our telehealth operations will run from various parts of this hub and spoke model. This particular site would not have procedures being run every single day. It would be a part-time sort of setup for procedures.
In other words, it's not going to say office hours, Monday through Thursday a certain time, then Friday a certain time, Saturday and Sunday a certain
It
time.
won't be, yeah, and to be clear, this is not like an urgent care center or an emergency room where people are just kind of shuffling in and out. These will be just appointments done on a specific basis as needed. So, yeah, it's not going to be like, come in whenever you want, Monday through
But are the
Friday.
appointments going to take place after what we would, ordinarily think of as business hours?
Oh, no, it'll all be during business hours, if that's your question.
Do you have do you work, I assume you have the facility in Far Rockaway, for instance?
Correct, yeah.
What are those hours?
That facility is open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's our
And what about-
primary office.
Okay, and what
That's
about
our-
Saturday and Sunday?
Our headquarters. We're not going to see patients in that facility Saturday or Sunday.
So in other words, what about West Hempstead? Are you going to see people on Saturday or Sunday?
No, it will not be open on the
You're
weekend.
not planning on? Okay, thank you. I was just curious.
I don't know if anyone's answered the question, but what are the maximum number of people that you think will be in this building at any given time?
Okay.
Of course, you do have 22 spaces
Yeah.
on site.
Yeah, so just to clarify, when I believe the chairman asked how many, I think the question was how many employees?
No, how many people?
No,
How many
initially,
people?
yeah.
Now.
So from the employees, our estimate was 7 on the first floor, 6 on the second floor, so that's
Right.
13. And then patient-wise, maybe another 8 or so. So that would bring us, close to that 22 number. And as the traffic study showed, the 22 spaces should be sufficient for this type of facility.
Any other questions from the board?
Yes, yes, it does.
Mr. Chairman, I would just move that the hearing be closed.
Yes,
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who's signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Thank you all. Aye.
thank you.
The court stenographer is asking for a break, so we'll blame her for this one. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Sorry, staff.
cheer you up, you know? It's been a long afternoon. We've been working hard.
Thank you so much.
See, what they should do is, we have Jeff Greenfield to do shtick for like 10, 15 minutes, 30 breaks. Jeffrey, wherever you are.
Wait. He's still there.
Oh, yeah, no, he's very civic-minded. I wouldn't shock me if he's watching zoning board.
Oh, no, I know. He shows up to Lindbergh. He shows up
no,
to Rockland Center. He shows up.
The county is blessed to have him.
But he's not the chairman.
No, Lenny Schmier is.
Right. But he'd be all over. He'd be 5'10".
Oh, yeah. He's a conservative.
Doesn't his wife look out for him? Come on.
That I don't know. I've never asked him that question. I just know he's a great guy and a great friend.
I even ran into him one day at the when I was still in Florida. He was in at JFK.
Oh, yeah, because he back
goes
for
back and
Boca.
forth, right.
He lives in Boca. He's such a good guy.
But he knows what's going on.
I am blessed in my time over there because he was chair, Marty Garden, and Lenny Shapiro, and three of the finest public servants, the three of them.
Yeah, except you guys had Paul Allen. Oh, no, wait, he was on North End. Where's the place? No. Where's the guy? There's somebody there. Am I thinking
We're
of
on.
this?
We're on.
That's all right. No. They used to ask questions all the time about North End.
Yeah, I don't know.
One other guy.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you? See you in the morning.
Somebody on.
I know Neil has a lot of questions. Neil's very concerned about
Oh,
Neil.
Neil.
Yeah, Neil's excellent man.
No, I didn't say that.
No, he does,
Paul
yes.
Allen used to be North End. He used to ask. Right. Listen, what's the next one there? Marina. What happened?
I don't know. So he goes back to just around. Ben's learned with him.
Yeah. Wow. No, he's been there. He's the names that I know on massive big down in Port Island. Especially sitting up there after 2 years and this, that. You know, I don't disagree with you. Yeah, and I have it's good. So what's happening with all this land back here? What are you gonna do? That's the $64,000 question because that's all town of Hempstead. Town of Hempstead, yeah. There's a ton of land. Well, you got
It's all landlocked.
this
Yeah,
here.
it comes in from here.
It comes in from here. It used to come in, well, there is a road right there that's never been improved.
I was telling somebody, you'd be surprised at all the land that's still available in Roosevelt.
Yeah,
It's amazing. And why it wasn't why it developed the way it did, or why that wasn't developed. Like, obviously the outskirts developed because you're on a public road.
Right.
But what they need wasn't that.
I don't know.
No, I've seen places, blocks of Roosevelt like that before, like that hole in the center. And I guess there was a thought process years ago, but why you just simply
Didn't develop.
Yeah, why the developer or the town had an interest. I mean,
It's all owned by the town back there. And it's a good, it's all kind of building homes on the third fairway. Oh,
You can't make that comment.
because then you have public access.
And it'd be a nightmare for the community then.
Yeah, well,
Kids
yeah.
at night, unless you're gonna come every night and shut the gates and lock the gates, but they'll still find a way to climb in.
What's his name? Mike,
Gregory?
Mike Gregory had a house over in, I did a variance for him over in Roosevelt. And what happened was there was a guy wanted for murder, who broke in and was.
That's right.
I mean, that's what happens. People who want to do something bad go away from where people are. So if they find a corner, a niche, a dark alley, a back door, where they're homeless and vagrants. I think over Hempstead. I think it might have been War area.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It might have been there. Right,
Yeah.
right. They came,
Yeah, I
they
think I
showed up
remember the
Monday.
story.
It was a murder.
Plus, you're not the dead person, and you got to clean it up.
Right.
Bad food.
But check it out. You can't leave vacant.
No.
You gotta start letting it develop.
See, like, the best thing out there, if the town is not using it, simply to be, deed it to
The adjacent
owners for a buck.
Right.
And put it on the tax rolls.
And maintain it, not a.
And there couldn't be any future subdivision of the property. That would be the problem. So are you cold or are you hot?
Oh, that's a heater?
Because I saw you take the jacket off.
You know, we want you to stay. We got questions for you.
See? No.
Oh, really? Now I'm paying attention. Wait, what time is it? I gotta get out of here. I got 10 minutes. Past my bedtime then. That's it, you're done. Oh, now you're okay. Now you're okay. That's it. I got Richie there for the second. I got two from Richie. Oh, you got, that's this morning? Put it on, end of the day.
Where do you sit in the sun? Like, is it like there's no beach, so what is it like? No, I know where it is, but do you just find it, do you just find a dirt road?
No, Red Rock, I'm sorry, it's an additional, it is a roadway that goes through the city area, there's
Okay.
Bob, how long did you sit on the bench in Red Rock Country? 8 seconds, and it warms you up? It's not that warm there.
Because he was freezing from here because he had no power.
Really?
See, 7.
Where's Roberto? We need Roberto.
Patrick, let's go. What?
Next, we have case 29925 Roosevelt VPSD Corporation, care of Healy Dewar. Variances, subdivision of lot, front width from and on street line to front setback line, construct dwelling with garage, demolish existing dwelling, Lot A, also known as 300 East Clinton Avenue, as well as case 300 of 25 Roosevelt VPSD Corporation, care of Keely Dewar. Variances, subdivision of lot, front width from and on street line to front setback line, construct dwelling with garage, Lot B, Southside East Clinton Avenue, 356.51 feet east of Denton Place.
Are we missing? Is there no one here on this case?
Yes. For the applicant, I won't do my big solo.
Patrick?
Mr.
Patrick?
Almost, the last time I was measured was high school, I was 6'5" and a half.
I told him 6'5" when you were a kid.
Well, what's that?
5'10"?
There's no one.
Well, we figured if this doesn't work out, we're gonna, do some robberies and, and Barry will get on my shoulder and go through the windows to, actually maybe some of the new homes, if it would probably work.
Careful what you say. We're not doing any robberies. Not today.
Or just keep it quiet.
Yeah.
So, as indicated, Robert W. O'Brien, 877 North Corona Avenue, North Valley Stream, New York, for the applicant.
And it's Barry Nelson, 220 Pettit Avenue, Belmont, New York, 11710. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Since the hour is a little late, I understood you guys went very, very late this morning. I'll try to give you a brief overview of the application. It's a two-lot subdivision. I would move to have the two cases consolidated and heard as one.
So moved.
As the board is aware from the radius map and plot plan, the property is on the south side of East Clinton Avenue in Roosevelt. It is a 100-foot wide property. There's depth of 133.24 feet on each side, perfect rectangle. There is currently a one-family dwelling in the middle of the property that the applicant intends to demolish if this is granted, and divide the property into two equal-sized lots, 50 feet of frontage. I'm going to do my quick math. I think it's...
Divided
thank you.
by two. Divided by
So
two.
we're going to come up, as I digress a little to the short version, 6,662 square feet each. There's plenty of depth. There is no adverse effect I'd submit to the board, to any of the neighbors.
Do we have a set of plans?
If you look at the property just to the east,
North.
it has will have one house next to it, has one house next to it now. If you look to the property to the west, it has one house next to it. There'll be one house next to it when we're all done. And there's it's an interesting block in that the town of Hempstead has vacant land behind. It almost has a donut effect over there, even though it's a rectangle. Think of like a hollow middle, and that's it. So the houses will not adversely affect anybody who living behind, because all there is this town property behind. It's not parkland. It's not for public use. It probably would be a danger if it was. You know, it's funny, that there is some access roads, Mr. Nelson was pointing me out, I should say access driveways, I think to the east and, I'm sorry, to the west and to the south. But what the town does, maybe the best thing, if anybody is listening, maybe the best thing would simply be to deed it to the adjoining property owners and put it on the tax rolls. But that's for people much wiser and much smarter than I am. So, as I indicated to you, there are a few substandards in the area, or I should say a number of them, and I know Mr. Nelson's going to get into his case. Two things. If the board is inclined to grant the application, the applicant is amenable to all the reasonable and customary conditions that this board has been known to impose to ensure the properties are used as a one-family dwelling and not multiple family ones, which mean, owner-occupied, no exterior cellar entrance. And the other thing is because I was the attorney, I'm not stealing any as a thunder, I represented the applicant on the property directly across the street at that would be the northwest corner of Wagner and East Clinton. And in that case, this was several years ago, the board granted two variances to build 50 by 100s. Just that was 2022, and the case numbers were 80 and 81. And that's my Reader's Digest version of the application. If the board has no questions of me, I'll turn it right over to Mr. Nelson now.
Mr. Nelson, you've been qualified on many occasions as a real estate expert by this board. Since the last time we qualified you, which may have been this morning, but I'm not sure.
No, I was here.
No.
I can't be responsible.
Have any of your qualifications changed?
No, sir.
Okay, so we will again qualify you as an expert in real estate, and you are free to so testify.
Thank you. I'd like to say what he said and be done with it, but I handed in photographs of the subject property that were taken by myself. They have dates, and in my opinion, they fairly and accurately represent the subject property and the surrounding area. Included in those photographs, I believe the last 4 or 5 pages will include other subdivisions and pictures of those homes with the case numbers and the dates and when they were granted. I also handed in some aerial views of the subject property. Those were not taken by myself, but they were obtained off of online, either the county's website, Nassau County's website, as well as Google Earth. And the last exhibits would be comparable sales of new construction in the area. Importantly, the case is only for lot width, 50-foot frontage. The lot area is over 6,000 square feet. It's a 13,324 square foot parcel. Proposed for each subdivision lot would be 6,662 square feet. Colonials are being proposed, and if you look at the composite and individual site plans, the greatest side yard would be to the outside, and then uniquely in this case, 16 feet from the property line to the proposed dwelling on the outside, 10 feet on the interior. Driveways that'll accommodate at least 2 to 3 cars, including the internal garage. The character of the neighborhood lends itself to the subdivision, 100 by 133. You'll see that right across the street was the subdivision. I provided photographs that council mentioned, cases 80 and 81 of 2022. They were approved for 50 by 100, so they required lot width and lot area on each one. Based on the character of the neighborhood, my findings within 2 and 3 blocks that would include Denton Place in the subject block to the west, as well as on Meridian Avenue and Beechwood Avenue, 2 blocks to the south of the subject property. In my opinion, the proposed request before the board for lot width and subdivision would be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood and pattern of development. In fact, if you look on East Clinton Avenue, you'll see two parcels to the west with 42-foot frontages and 44-foot frontages. North side, 250 by 100s. Northeast, east of Wagner Avenue, 40-foot frontages. And on the west side of Wagner Avenue, 50-foot frontages, 50 by 100s. Right now, in Roosevelt, I looked at the MLS, there's only 16 homes currently for sale. New construction is in demand. New homes that provide comparable sales would sell in excess of $750,000 to $800,000 each. In my opinion, that will keep property values appreciating in the area and without adversely affecting character of the neighborhood, property values. All municipal services are available to the subject site. Thanks. Yes, sir.
These houses will sell for $800,000.
Right now, yes.
How does that affect the other houses that have been built in the 50s?
The houses, right, you mean the existing houses or new construction?
Yeah, how does
on
that affect the
50s?
whole community if the board would grant something like this that's gonna sell, and across the street?
Across the street, those homes now are in contract, I believe, at $799, or they
Okay.
were listed. But the existing houses that were selling, actually, this would be a move-up house in the community, or newcomers that are looking for new construction in the area.
I guess does this have a ripple effect for the other area, other neighbors?
It's a positive ripple
Okay.
effect. It'll continue with appreciation. New homes become the big brother of the block trending, and it's a positive influence, in my opinion. And again, new construction tends to bring good quality housing in the area. It would tend to have other neighbors improve their houses. But right now, if you look at my photographs, you will see the two new houses across the street. You got the high ranches, I believe there's 4 or 5 of them just to the west. They were developed in the 1970s. At that time, they didn't have to come before the board because the older code required 40 feet at the street and 55 at the building line. In my opinion, it brings developers and construction in the area, and it tends to appreciate property values.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pellegrini and I both went to this location.
Yes, sir.
And the only, I'm looking at the rendering, the only comment I have, and I think this is the kind of development that people want and deserve to improve the quality of the neighborhood.
Actually, oh no, these don't have. Yes, they have a small bump, they do have a small proposed porch, but no. But these are smaller houses that,
I would just move, Mr. Chairman, that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Nelson, and anyone else who signed in on the case receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Thank you.
Thank you, and everyone have a great 4th of July.
Aye.
Be safe. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Next, we have case 13625, Point Lookout, MMACZZ, Inc. Variances, height, lot area occupied, front yard average setback, side yards aggregate, rear yard, construct dwelling with garage, decks with stairs, AC units, and roof deck, also known as 108 Lynbrook Avenue.
Okay. Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. Richard M. Bavone, 308 East Meadow Avenue, East Meadow, appearing as the agent for, and I'd like to, as I'm doing this, I'd like to amend the caption, so it's MMACZZ. Instead of the Inc., it's an LLC, and the managing partner is here. So, and the subject location is 108 Limbrook Avenue. I have next to me, to the left of me, is the architect of record, Vincent Bresnator, and I have Roger and Teresa Cozy, and Teresa Cozy is the 100% managing partner of the LLC, for the record. Property is located in Section 61, Block 60, Lot 110. It's a residence zone B. It must be noted that the survey prepared by Leonard J. Stramberg and Associates, dated and amended on March 5th, 2024, indicates a different configuration, but it's Block 61, Lot 60, lots 11 and 12. So there's a difference in the lot numbers, but that is the subject location, and I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention. The parcel is a substandard size 3,000 square foot lot, 40 by 75. Listed on the certificate section sheet issued by the Town of Hempstead Building Department dated March 7, 2024, which was updated on May 29, 2025. So the original dwelling was constructed in 1938 with a maintained permit in 1976 and an open permit issued in 1987, which was issued variances from this board. The house was demolished and the property is currently vacant, pending a decision from this board for the requested variances here today. The notice issued by the Board of Appeals for case 136 indicates that one of the variants being requested was a proposed dwelling for height that has now been removed, where we have revised the plans and no longer are we requesting a height variance. It will comply with the requirements of the Town of Hempstead zoning ordinance.
Did the new plans go already to the building department and they?
Yeah, so all of this has been reviewed by the building department because we've had, from the previous adjournments, the neighbors that were involved with this process, we have met with them and we've discussed the concerns that they have had, and we had the architect modify the plans, and we have removed some of the variances that were of concern, one being the height variance, and the other variance, which is also, that is still going to be a variance. Originally, it was a 60% request for lot area. That has been reduced to 53%. Again, still requiring a variance, which is 7% less than the original proposed. So as you know, that the town ordinance allows for 27.5, which is 25.5% difference of the 3,000 square foot substandard lot. The third modification to the original filing is on both side yards. The AC unit that was proposed on the north side and the generator which was proposed on the south side have been relocated to the east rear to alleviate any concerns from the abutting neighbor. They have been in communications with us. They have seen the revised plans and have no objection to that at all. They actually are very happy that we removed the AC units from the side yard, including the generator which was on the south side proposed because of noise. The Town of Hempstead zoning ordinance allows for 3,000 square foot property, which would have been a house under the zoning ordinance of 825 square feet of buildable construction, which is just a tad more than a detached garage, quite honestly. However, we do know that a lot of the area over the years, which was 95 years of that area being around, were substandard parcels, were also used as bungalows when they first were built, and over time they have been modified. They have had other variances, and they had permits issued for this building itself. now we have a house that's being presented because of the fact that the original dwelling, which reached its life expectancy and was demolished, and this dwelling which would be a one-family if approved, is more energy efficient. Construction methods will follow the promulgated building code of the state of New York and also the zoning code, with some variances which we're requesting today for relief. Again, still being a one-family dwelling, which this dwelling is less than most of the homes that were already built or have variances that were issued by the Board of Appeals over time. The proposed dwelling would be 1,590 square feet, again, one family, which is 765 square feet difference from what is permitted, 4,825 square foot if we had to comply with the zoning ordinance. This is a modest home which would comply with the building code of the state of New York for construction methods. Now, again, that's just the footprint of the house. The north side yard setback of the proposed one-family dwelling is 5.9 feet, which is as of right. The south side is 5 feet, which also complies with the minimal requirements of the side yard setbacks. However, the aggregate setback, which would require a local variance, the total aggregate setback is 10.9. The difference is 4.1 feet. Again, this is minimal reduction of the zoning code and is routinely approved by this board. And again, I'm going to reference what I've submitted to the board shortly. The next variance requested is the average front yard setback. The existing average front yard setback for the side on Limerick Avenue is 15.4 feet. Say that again, I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct. So the proposed northwest portion of the dwelling that we're requesting to be constructed, which has steps leading to it, and the first floor, it goes to the first floor living space, is 13 feet from the front of the property line. That's 10 foot wide on the street itself, which the difference is 5.4 feet from the requirement. The remainder of the dwelling being proposed is further setback to the property and proposes a 20-foot setback, which is 4.6 feet more than required. Therefore, the average front yard setback is only 10 feet wide section of the front of the house, which is where the steps are. That's what actually projects into the front yard setback. 20-foot setback.
Front porch is 14. Front porch is 14.
Right, but you also have the front porch. The main part of the dwelling sets back at 20 feet, but you also have the proposed porch area, which is at 14 feet. That is an open porch.
Open?
That is correct.
The client will consent to a condition that it not be further enclosed?
Yes.
Okay.
And what portion of the stairs that encroach, are any of those permitted encroachments or not?
No, it would be, that's a, hold on.
This would be.
The steps would be, right, but, and just the steps in the platform, but the rest of the house would require to be compliance with the average front yard setback.
So the portion that encroaches those 8 feet, that is stairs, is that part permitted?
We usually don't take the stairs into consideration when determining setback, only the platform.
So the technical setback would be 8, right?
Correct.
So we're talking about 8, even though we understand it's
Right.
significant, not all of it is like a whole house. I get it.
That's correct.
But we also
And that's the distinction we wanted to make, that the entire house is not sitting at that
agree,
setback.
but we would have to grant an 8 foot for this to be allowed.
So the last variance would be for the rear yard setback of 6.6 feet for the section of the rear of the dwelling for 13.3 feet. Again, the remainder of the dwelling would be, the main portion of the dwelling would be at a line of 19 feet away. But again, there's a proposed deck above. And that,
Same no enclosure condition.
that is correct. It's a deck, outside deck, which would have a setback of 10 feet. And also we have the proposed generator and AC units, which would be right in back of the main dwelling itself. Because of the fact that the neighbors that were commenting on the original proposal where the generator was in a side yard and the AC units were also on the other side yard, they are much happier having the AC and the generator to the rear of that property.
So there's a mechanical room proposed inside the dwelling. I don't know if that's bringing the mechanicals up to the FEMA level, but what mechanicals are that? Like the boiler and,
So Mr. President can answer that question because that was going to be part of his presentation.
okay, keep going then.
Vincent J. Bresnator, 1645 Stevens Avenue, Merrick, New York, 11566. Yeah, all the equipment that would be located in the mechanical room on a lower level would be above the design flood elevation. So that would be anything like boiler or air handlers and such.
Well, that's, how high is, so that's, how much of that garage is in the FEMA? What's the,
So the ceiling height
well,
is
let's
8
start
feet.
with how much of the floor of that, like, once you're in that garage,
Yeah.
how high till you're allowed everything? I mean, is it 8 feet or 3 of them? Look here.
So the garage elevation is 10.5, the design flood is 13. That's 2 feet 6 inches above the garage slab. So anything above 2 foot 6, so 5.5 feet is good to build in.
And they are proposed to be above the 2
That's correct. All the mechanicals would be above
And that's,
design
you
flood.
said air handlers, and I guess, what about?
Boiler, air handlers, yeah, I mean, we haven't nailed down exactly what HVAC's gonna be, but we're looking for high energy efficiency, so it's probably gonna be heat pump and such.
Can I ask you a question? What is the, there's that deck above the garage level, so first floor deck, really, the first feet. Why does it have 2 entrances into the house?
In the back of the dwelling,
Yeah,
it's just for storage for the back, for stuff from the back.
So just for the record, that level, which would be grade level, is going to be storage and vehicle parking. That's
just
all
seems
it's going to be.
odd
There
that
will be
there's
no
2
living
entrances.
space, just for a vehicle in the garage area. There will be no living space on that level whatsoever. There's no plan for it. It's not going to be converted to living space. The reason for the 2 doors would be just access from the backyard to bring in furniture and equipment from the outside, and they need storage. The original dwelling was higher, where they would have had attic storage would have pulled down. They don't have that anymore, so therefore they need the storage space.
so it also shows that back on that level, the generator in the back, and above that, the AC, is that, I know you mentioned you moved them at one point, is that still?
So they're stacked. If you look at the rear elevation, obviously everything's supposed to be above design flood elevation.
Right.
So on a lower level, we have the generator, and then above that, we have
AC.
a platform with the
Right,
ACs will go
but
on.
is that, I'm only asking because earlier Mr. Pavone mentioned that through discussions, they moved him from one location, I thought he said the side yard, to the rear yard, so this is the final location?
That is the final location, and it will be stacked, and that has been done before, and it does work from an engineering standpoint, and will work very well. As you know, that the generators only cycle once a week for testing, and will be on when the event does happen or occur. But again, prior to this, and prior to Sandy, anybody that had a generator or air conditioning compressor, they all got destroyed because they were below the flood elevation. Now they're being raised up, so the odds are that they will be actually in working condition, knowing what the flood elevation.
Mr. Bavone, if I can interject, the caption reads that you need side yard variances.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
The caption reads that you need side yard variances. Why do you need that?
Yes, but the side yard variance originally was for the AC unit and the on the north side.
So you
We
no
removed
longer
that.
need that?
That's correct. And-
Okay,
yes.
so we'll amend the caption
Yes.
to reflect that, along with amending the caption to remove the height variance.
That is correct.
He needs aggregate.
And you
'Cause
need
he only has-
aggregate setback, front yard, average setbacks, and rear yard.
Right,
You want to talk
okay.
about
Okay, the proposed residence is a three-story structure with the grade level being utilized solely for garage and storage uses in accordance with FEMA regulations of town of
Is it
Hempstead,
three-story?
the town of Hempstead
It's a
zoning
FEMA
code.
2 or 3.
The first living floor, located approximately 9.2 feet above grade, contains a living room, kitchen, and breakfast room. This floor also includes a front entry portico, an open front porch, and rear deck. The second living floor contains 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a laundry room. This floor also includes a small rear
Right,
deck
got
which serves the master bedroom. The roof level includes a sun deck area which is accessed via an internal staircase. With regard to living area, the first floor contains approximately 1,283 square feet, and the second floor contains approximately 1,228 square feet. A total proposed living area of 2,511 square feet. The exterior porch decks and portico comprise an additional 381 square feet. The entire structure will include a residential fire sprinkler system designed and installed in accordance with all New York State Building Code requirements.
All right, is it strictly, it's not really a 3-story building, it's a FEMA 3.
I know
Just-
you guys use
just-
the terminology, you guys use the 2+1 terminology, or is
that's-
that what it is?
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Two levels proposed of usable indoor space.
Yeah.
That is correct.
There's one FEMA level below, and there's
Correct.
roof deck.
I think,
Which also same
I think,
question, no one's
I think
voted.
FEMA calls it 3, but yeah,
yeah, all
whatever
right.
it is.
They can call it 3, we don't.
But noting that that first level, which is grade level, will be just storage
Right.
area, and that's it.
Understood.
And otherwise FEMA compliant.
Right.
That is
Correct.
correct. So I submitted to the board photographs of the surrounding neighborhood and also 18 variances similar to this, actually much more variances than we're requesting here today. Noting the fact that there were neighbor comments from the abutting neighbor to the north and the neighbor to the west across the street, we worked with them. We actually reduced the size of the house, including the percentage of lot area occupied, and relocating the AC unit and the generator. So we have come into a place where this house is, we believe, something that the board can approve from the negotiation we've had with the neighbors. We believe it will not create any adverse impact to this property and/or surrounding properties. As you know, it's a substandard parcel of 3,000 square feet. There's approximately 7 other properties on Lynbrook Avenue, which were 40 by 75, which are also one-family dwellings. To construct a dwelling with the requirements of the living space and to use this property as the zoning code requires, you could never build a house at 825 square feet. This, we believe, is a house that fits in the community and is actually less than some of the variances that have been approved. Noting that there, just in the immediate vicinity, there are 18 homes with variances that were approved by this board. We believe that this is a reasonable request for a house. The Cozzi's own the abutting house to the east, which is lot 48 through 51 on Mineola Avenue. And what their plan is to have this house constructed, move into this house, and then reconstruct the other house, and then have their children take over the house that we're talking about today. So they have access from one property to the other, and again, that house has not been redesigned. It's existing as it is today. It is a one-family dwelling also. They request to stay here. They like the area, and again, we believe that this is a house that hopefully will be approved by the board.
That concludes your presentation.
Yes.
except for Mrs. D'Amato. Does anyone else on the board have a question? Okay, okay. The elevation? I'm not cited for height. The kids got the little house. Good move.
That's right, thank you, you're right.
So,
I have no other questions.
comment. So the youngsters are going to be, the younger persons are going to be living in this house?
Well, not initially, but it's going to be the
Right.
family between both
Right,
homes,
right.
yes.
Are you sure you want your children living next door to you? I love them too, but I've got two of them living next door to me, two different homes, but, okay. Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's
Second.
rendered.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Have a nice afternoon, folks.
Thank you very much.
I didn't forget about it. Mr. Bavone, I believe you're staying.
Yes,
Are
I'm
you
staying
not?
for hopefully a few more minutes.
Which case is that? Yeah. Yeah, right. I just want to make sure I got the right.
Next, we have case 34625, Woodmere, Mark Klein. Variances, lot area occupied, side yards aggregate, rear yard maintained addition, second story addition, front vestibule, and enclosed porch, all attached to dwelling, also known as 45 Neptune Avenue. Mr. Pavone, I have you sworn in from earlier, just your name and address for the record.
Hey, Pluma.
Richard M. Bavone, 308 East Meadow Avenue, East
Pluma.
Meadow, appearing as the agent for Mark
did you look
Klein,
at this
45
house?
Neptune Avenue,
Did you
which is
look at
located
this
in Woodmere. Go. Okay. Client's requesting variances to maintain existing conditions at the subject location. Property is located in a Residence A zone. The property is 7,000 square feet. Mr. Klein has owned his property for 23 years, and he's planning on updating the house itself, renovating and doing an interior alteration, which has not been filed as of yet. He was more concerned to make sure that before he does this, because of the fact that he found out that the house was a non-conforming house, he was concerned that there would be an issue. That's why we're sitting here, I'm sitting here today. So he wanted to make sure that the house was in compliance with everything that's there that was created prior to him owning the house. And we did a research of the records on file at the building department, and we filed applications to maintain the non-conforming conditions. It's odd. In 40 years, probably not much, quite honestly. So what he's looking to do is, because his children are now older, what he had said to me was that he knows that they're going to be having children, he'll have grandchildren. He wants to make sure that there's living space or enough room for them when they come over. He wants to update the kitchen, but again, not knowing what was there, now we do, so that's why we're doing this process. The overall lot area is 34.49%, which is 644.22 square feet over the maximum allowed in this zone. The side yard setback of the main dwelling is 5.83 feet from the requirements with section 24A3. The existing conditions are 5.7 and 11.3 feet. Again, this is a minimal amount of 0.13 feet. The aggregate setback requirement is 17.5 feet, whereas the existing condition is 17 feet, and it's a 0.5-foot difference. The rear yard setback requirement is 15 feet, whereas the existing conditions are 14.8. This is a 0.2-foot difference. Again, the average front yard setback is 25 feet, and the property is 20.5 feet. The dwelling is 20.5 feet setback, which the setback is there's an area of 4.7 by 7.9, which is the enclosed vestibule. That's the area which is the average front yard setback and variance that we're requesting. All of the variances that we're requesting today are minimal, and we do have letters from, I think we submitted letters initially to the board, but they might be, actually, I'll check. I think I have letters, but I don't know if they're for this case. The existing conditions do not create any negative impact to this property or surrounding properties. It will remain a one-family dwelling. The existing conditions are in good condition, and again, as I said in the beginning, the owner would like to renovate this house for his family. That's it.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion? One of the board members parenthetically did inspect the premises already, and
Thank you.
Move the hearing
would
be
like to make a motion?
Go ahead. Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on decision calendar. Mr. Pavone, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? That
Thank you very
concludes
much.
the PM calendar, and we'll take a short break before we do decisions.
Have a great day, and thank you for moving this to the afternoon.
Welcome.
Oh my God, I love it.
Belmore. Alexander
I was going to say the exact same thing, Kim.
Nidzila, Life Estate of Henry Nidzila. This is a renewal of a grant to maintain a two-family dwelling. That has been, that one we granted, right? That was inspected on May 30th, 2024. 2785 Oswego Street. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion? Somebody make a motion.
Make a motion on file number 330 of 25 North Belmore, Alexander Neitzel, Life Estate of Henry Neitzel, renewal of a grant to maintain two-family dwelling, be granted as requested, 5 years, same conditions.
Usual.
Maybe we can skip to that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? All right. Next three cases, 331 of 25, 332 of 25, and 333 of 25 have been adjourned to August 20th, 2025 at 11 o'clock in the a.m.
There's one case that I wanted Becky to help on. Can we skip to that one so she can leave?
Oh, sure. Which one? Beck? Yeah.
Which one is that?
So, we actually received an email after, the case was presented, and the applicant was requesting that the case be reopened solely to correct testimony. Would you like to read the email? To correct testimony.
Wait, 336?
So,
336.
so what testimony do they want to correct?
I will read to you. During the hearing today for Mr. Curcio located at 1618 James Street, East Rockaway, I stated that I believed they could fit approximately 3 cars in the asphalt driveway, and there was no parking additionally besides the sidewalk. However, I was correct in the sense that they can fit the 3 vehicles in the driveway, but there is also additional garage space which can fit additional cars as well. Please see sheet A1 to show garage. I misread the plans and thought the garage was being removed as a result of the addition, but I was incorrect. The garage will remain and will provide additional parking. I apologize for the error and request it be corrected on the record.
He wants to reopen the case for
No,
that.
just for just for the correction.
He wants to submit this?
Correct.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it. Just to correct that there's additional parking. This is the same case.
I can't remember which case. I text Becky and said I wanted to, I'm not sure that's the one I wrote.
What's everybody's
That's the two single family.
Right, I understand. I just don't remember if that's the case that I said Becky, I was at 10:11 today.
This is the one where they were going to enclose the breezeway and connect the two homes.
Right. This was Ashley Lowe. Yeah.
You think that was the one I meant? I did it at the moment. Well, let me ask you.
What do you want to do?
They said,
What do you want to do?
I wanted to put a condition.
Oh, okay.
Because if they had a marina there,
And the owners do
like if I didn't speak to them, could they just have a marina?
That's gonna be 2 rentals.
Can I make a parenthetical comment?
That's the one I want.
That's what I think.
One issue is that it has a non-conforming, that they're allowed to have 2.
Good, good. And what is, they want to enlarge the compound. All right.
So just
Any other, somebody want to make a motion?
On this case?
Yeah?
Okay. I would move as it relates to case 336 of 2025 Near East Rockaway. Property is 16 and 18 James Street. The applicant's Gerardo Curcio. That we grant the requested relief with the condition that there shall be no marina operated or no marina on the premises. I have a note that it's not owner occupied, so I guess nothing is related. That's my motion.
What about the what?
I wrote that it's not owner occupied,
Right.
so did we, I don't think we spoke to them about making it owner occupied.
He didn't?
Right, so I don't know
Is
that that's...
anyone living in this house now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Because if no one's living in it, I would probably grant it on condition that it be owner occupied.
Why not?
Somebody's living in it now.
Just write a letter, and that's,
Okay, with the condition that one unit be owner occupied.
Christina, that letter applies to this.
Correct, that letter applies to this. They just wanted to correct their testimony that there is in fact a
With
garage
regard to
there.
parking, yeah.
You have to bring that forward somehow.
Okay, so, well, I kind of mentioned that before. So, yes, the applicant requested that the case be reopened solely for the submission of the corrective testimony that there is a garage, so there's additional parking.
Okay, I move that we open case 336 of 2025 to take into evidence the email message sent to the board relating to parking.
Second.
All in favor? And
In
then-
addition, I renew my motion to grant the requested relief with an owner-occupied condition that one unit be owner-occupied and that there be no marina owned or operated on the premises, and that be a condition that runs with the land.
Okay, and I do believe there was also stoops and stairs. Those remain open?
Yes, you're right, I wrote that. Stoop stairs, remain open.
Second? All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I think so. Did anyone else need Becky that they know of?
No, no.
I'm sure as soon as you're gone,
Thank
we'll
you,
realize
Becky.
we could use you, but...
Case 334 in Oceanside is a very interesting case, folks. On Mayland Place, it's a renewal of a grant to maintain a lot area variance for a two-family dwelling with no owner occupancy condition.
There was no condition in the original grant?
Right.
There's a story behind this one.
Turn the mics off.
Plenty of four families right around the neighborhood, one of which was owned by a friend of mine. In any event,
You want to make it owner occupied now, give them 5 years to owner occupied, or upon certain transfer?
I would,
But renewal case is a de novo case technically, right?
why don't we hold it, and you'll do a little research.
My suggestion is that we make it owner occupied,
Upon sale or transfer?
sale or transfer, or give them 5 years to do it. We've done that in the past.
We have, okay. Let's hold so we can get the correct, the language and emotion in, all right? Okay, West Hempstead, 335 at 25 West Hempstead, Andrew Kaufman and Leah Schwab. Variances, lot area occupied, side yard aggregate, maintain a two-story addition, second-story additions, and roofed-over open porch additions and alterations in excess of 50% new CO required. Oh, this is the one in West Hempstead. So, do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion? The roofed-over open porch should be kept open.
Okay, I make a motion for case 33526 West Hempstead.
25.
25.
You're ahead of yourself, John.
Excuse me? 335 of 25. Variances, lot occupied, side yard aggregate, maintained two-story addition, and the roof over the porch must be, remain open.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That was the one where, yeah, we don't have to recite the whole thing. Okay, so we're gonna modify the Curcio we just did, correct? All right, so cases 337 and 338 West Hempstead, Joseph and Mia Murphy, property address 349 Concord Avenue in West Hempstead. Any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion? The one condition being the deck has to be kept open.
Yes,
Yep.
yep. I make a motion 337 to 338 of 25 West Hempstead, Joseph and Mia Murphy at 349 Concord Avenue be approved as requested, keeping the stairs and the deck open.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next case, 339 of 25 Seaford, Sheng Bing He. Front yard setback on Washington Avenue, maintain the AC, property address 4008 Hudson Avenue. Any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion? Katura,
I move that case 339 of 2025 be approved as requested.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Case 340 of 2025, Wantor, 422 Wolf Hill LLC. Property address is 845 White Birch Lane. That's the one where the lady came in. That's,
Oh, that's the house that's set empty for 10 years.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I honestly, most of the issues she raised are really appropriately considered as a basis to deny the application. So, I mean,
Make a motion.
They're just
You
going
can't
straight
be-
up.
yeah, or there's too many bedrooms, we don't know who's gonna live there. I mean,
Oh, this is the flip.
This is the flip. Yeah.
You know, I thought,
This window.
how do you deny this request predicated upon what you think might happen? How do you do that? You can't deny it. That's
right,
what we
can't go,
said.
oh, well, this family can't have 4 bedrooms because we think it's too much.
No. All right, so somebody give me a motion. Yeah. Yeah. Nope. All right, Joey, your turn.
Visited the site, there's many houses that are very large houses dotted throughout the community. No, it isn't.
All right, so the motion is to grant.
Yes, I move that case number 340 in Wantor, 422 Wolf Hill LLC be granted as requested.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case 341 of 2025, Uniondale, Lorna A. Simpson and Marcia A. E. Simpson. Property address is 1339 Commodore Road, that's an immediate family residence. Any comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Those women were very nice in that they smiled the whole time, and I really appreciated that. It does not on the merits, but I'm just saying, it was just nice to have someone smile. Like,
I move case 341 of 2025, location of property is 1339 Commodore Road, Uniondale, be granted as requested with all immediate family residence conditions. Aye.
I make a motion, case 342 of 25, Wantor, Marvin and Gwenda Berg, be granted as requested, and with the footnote that we maintain the wood deck not enclosed.
I second it.
Aye.
Okay, so, Joe, you want to do the motion? Bottom of 2, 343.
343. I move that case 343, the mother-daughter at 115-97 Parkway Drive in Elmont be granted with the normal mother-daughter conditions.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case 344, 2025 in Point Lookout, John Keeley. The property's at 55 Hewlett Avenue, various requests. Did we get the additional information on that case?
Keeley?
I believe they were amending their plans, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so we're gonna hold that.
Yeah.
Can you make a note for me on that one? They were gonna tell us how they're moving the AC units.
Okay,
They were gonna give us the percentage of water occupied by AC deck.
Yeah, and I also told them to separate roof deck separately, not include calculation.
Okay, right, because we also need,
Oh, he did it.
in the front, he was gonna make an open
He
roof.
did it.
He did it.
All of it?
Did he move the ACs in? Did he still have those in there?
So this was supposed to be open railing here, he said. And then new MSC relocation. In the April of rating,
Mechanical equipment.
44 down to it.
MSC new. You wanna just
Levittown, Daniel Lotfi and Jacqueline Ayad. This is the one, this is the one that there was a previous denial on the second-story addition.
Okay, so I searched our records and the building department records to the best that I could. I even read the minutes from the prior hearing in 2007, and it was a blanket denial.
what was the proposal?
The proposal.
Part of it
they had a bunch
was-
cases.
yeah.
One of them was to maintain a second-story wood deck with stairs attached as well. So there were no plans available on the portal for that specific portion. However, on a different case that was in front of us at the same time, I was able to pull the plot plan and photographs. So that's all here. So my guess would be, so one of the portions of relief that were in front of the board back in 2007, it was for mother-daughter. So I wonder if this was denied because that's essentially a side entrance. It lends itself to maybe an illegal occupancy, but again, I'm only guessing as to why that would have been denied. I don't know.
But what of these requests do we think are made, required by res judicata?
It would be the
Second-story addition.
Maintain second-story addition, garage porch and breezeway converted.
That was
The board denied the second-story
Sorry.
wood deck.
that's all?
That's all. This case was the one that was denied.
So isn't this?
So that's a maintained second-story wood deck.
Yeah.
7 Club
No, but
Lane.
John wanted to check if they,
Because-
if
because-
portions of these
yeah.
requests were already made and denied, they're barred by res judicata.
Res judicata.
That's why John,
So the request, no, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that it was, they denied the whole thing. But the second-story addition was not part of this relief, part of the relief that was requested. It was maintain a second-story wood deck.
with stairs attached.
That was inspected.
All right,
But if you see here, it looks like it's the same wood deck.
yeah, all right.
I don't know if they got rid of the stairs.
So it got denied and they
That's
put
why
it in
I
anyway?
wrote
It was
those
there.
revised
It was,
plans.
if I'm not mistaken, it was
Just maintained in?
It was a
Maintained, it got denied, they removed it.
yeah, it was a classic case of a denial lacking enforcement, so that it just stays there forever.
They're not asking for the deck now, are they?
They are.
Wait,
No.
maintain second-story addition, garage, porch, and breezeway.
Unless you feel that that's the porch.
He asked minus the stairs, that's why we were
But
holding
I
for
don't think the
revised
current
plan.
case has a second-story deck in it.
Porch and breezeway converted to living space.
No, but not the
All right.
pictures. If you read what they're asking for.
Garage and porch and breezeway.
Porch and breezeway converted to, all right. Joe's, we're gonna hold it. Joe